Good move for Milan as well. They're getting in, 70 million he cost Chelsea, 50 million off that price tag to see him make that move. And, of course, a number of players have gone cheap from Chelsea. We knew they had to clear out a lot of that squad looking ahead to the start of the new season. And a number of players have gone, Mark. What does that mean now, given their options of bringing players in? Obviously, Caicedo from Brighton has been heavily linked to a move out of the South Coast club. Have they done enough to be able to afford him?
Well, they obviously need midfielders because they've let a lot of midfielders go. Kovacic has gone, Kante has gone, Mason Mount's gone. They need to stock up in midfield. But, you know, I worked out the other day that once Pulisic is done, once it's officially done, they'll have brought in just over £200 million in outgoing transfer fees. Obviously, Lukaku you would expect to add to that, but they spent £600 million last year, so that's still £400 million that they're, you know, in deficit. Now, Chelsea aren't in the Champions League this season. They finished way down the Premier League last season, so the earnings from that won't be great. They haven't got a shirt sponsor yet, so they have to find a way to plug the gaps. And I don't think they can do that by continuing to spend money on players that, yes, they need. But, you know, Caicedo, you're probably looking at 70, 80 million pounds from Brighton, which is another massive fee for Chelsea to pay. So at some point, you have to say, where's the money coming from and how can they keep spending this money when they're not, obviously, like I said, I just laid it out financially, they're not bringing as much money in as they should be doing. So they will probably sign Caicedo, that's how it works, but they'll need to sell or offload a lot more players to get some more money in because a £400 million deficit in 12 months is too big.
We know how good Caicedo was last season, Jules. Would there be any part of him, would you think, that actually maybe I could do better than Chelsea?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think right now they are the only club for him. There's no more an Arsenal like we saw in January, for example, when he got a new deal, which is making this Chelsea deal difficult. I mean, Mark mentioned the £80 million. I think this would be the minimum that Brighton want for a player that, again, renewed his contract only 6 months ago. And they know how much Chelsea are desperate for a midfielder because, as we've said also, they let a lot of them go. So Brighton are in a very, very strong position. I think Caicedo would likes the idea to go to Chelsea. He's going to earn more money, of course, and it's a bigger club than Brighton for sure, and you would expect them at some point to get back to the Champions League position, to again challenge for the big titles in the Premier League, in the Champions League. I think Pochettino, for a young player like Caicedo, is a very attractive manager. We know the track record with young players in his career as a coach. So all of that makes it, I think, appealing for Caicedo. The problem is, I agree with Mark, I'm not sure right now Chelsea can pay the 80 million. And again, that's a minimum. There will be bonuses on top. It's a very complicated deal. I just don't think that just right now they are ready. That's why they've been talking with Brighton for quite a long time to try to see the best. Let's not forget, not that long ago, they could not do Ugarte for 60 million. And since then, they've sold a lot of players. But selling players doesn't mean that you can then spend 80, 90, 100 million on one single player either. So again, I agree with Mark. There's quite a lot of optimism at the club around Caicedo, and I think it could happen. But it's just not an easy one. And right now, Chelsea are not in an easy position, full stop, in terms of transfers.
They're, of course, desperate as well to get Lukaku off their books, Jules. Obviously, we heard Pochettino come out and say that he wants a chat with him when he comes to training. Suggestions are he's not going to go to training. He's just going to chain himself to Milan.
Yeah, I don't think the chat will happen. Or maybe on the phone or on Zoom, but definitely not in person. The latest offer tonight made by Inter, the second one was 30 million euros. Plus some bonuses, so we get closer to the £40 million that Chelsea won for Lukaku, someone that they spent far more money on not that long ago, 2 seasons ago. So again, I think this one will happen. It's just a matter of time to find the right agreement and meet in the middle probably for Inter and Chelsea. And that would be a bit more money in to go and buy someone like Caicedo or to find a replacement for Pulisic, because they will sign a replacement for Pulisic, or also for a Lukaku replacement, some sort of number 9 on top of Nicol Jackson. So it will be a very hectic summer for Chelsea. But I think the Lukaku deal is also a very important one, as much as to let him go because he doesn't want to be there anyway, but also in terms of then who you recruit after that.
You mentioned a replacement for Pulisic. I saw you put out on Instagram that Ryan Cherki likes Chelsea and Chelsea likes him, Jules.
Yeah, that's where we are, Dan, on this one. He's a very talented kid, there's no doubt. And Chelsea, as we know, certainly since the takeover a year ago, the idea and the philosophy is very much to go and get the best young players in Europe, and Cherki, for his age at 19, he's going to turn 20 in the summer, is one of them, if not the most gifted maybe of all that generation. And I think, considering he only has 2 years left on his contract, this is a very interesting player for Chelsea to play wide. He can play in pretty much every position, attacking-wise. He's left-footed and right-footed, that's similar foot. He takes corners from both feet during the same game. He's a very, very talented kid who wants to move out of Lyon. And I think Lyon need a bit of money as well. We know the relationship between the two clubs are good because Malo Gusto in January went from Lyon to Chelsea. So I think, again, this one is one to follow. It's not nowhere near close to be done. But I think very soon we could see a first offer, for example, from Chelsea going the way to Lyon.